Hey, what's going on? I am your host Nando, and today we're going to be doing part 3 of a Fallout survival walkthrough series in which I kind of show you the ways that you can pretty much play the game without kind of trying to be all crazy, insane tryhard mode, I guess. I mean, I tried. Whatever. First thing you want to do is kind of just scout this building, make sure that you kind of get everything that you can get out of it. I usually just go straight for the med box and these two things because no one usually has expert level lockpicking because there's much more important things that you can get with those skill points in general. As we caught on over back to Red Rocket, in which we kind of search through our inventory and see which weapons we're keeping out and which ones we can just throw in right away. I decided to put away the pipe auto pistol because we only have 300 or 269 rounds, and that is nowhere near close enough to run an automatic run at this time. I think last playthrough I had about 600, and that went away pretty fast. So we're just gonna throw a small scope, a short scope on it. We're also going to throw a hardened receiver on it, and we're going to kind of treat this as our DMR before we can get like a hunting rifle or anything pretty much to replace this. Usually you want a combat rifle. It just kind of works better for that role. And right here we're just going to throw away all the weapons that we don't need in here just so that we can make more space. As you can see, we have like 130 pounds out of 210, which only leaves us like 60, which isn't a lot. So we kind of try and get rid of the extra fusion cells and a few things, and we get down to about 119. And I just thought I'd show you guys this trick. If you have a sink, which if you've had the DLC you should be able to build, you can take all of your empty water bottles and get purified water directly, and that kind of saves you the extra effort of getting dirty water and then boiling it into clean water. That's kind of more of an emergency measure if you need it and you just happen to have spare bottles and you run into one of the millions of cooking stations that are kind of out in the wilds. But it's not something you kind of want to do all the time, and we switch out our raider leathers for a flannel shirt and jeans just so we don't look like a raider. It's purely an aesthetic choice, but I digress. On this run, we're kind of looking for armor and as many antibiotics as we can get, as well as crafting materials. So we find some more stim packs, which is always good. We find the purified water that's laid out here for the player. And then as we kind of search for a little bit, we do find the steamer trunk, which is right next to it. And that has a 308 round and our third armor piece, our third raider armor piece that we can use, kind of mitigate the little bit of that ballistic damage coming from other raiders this early on, because you usually don't encounter lasers until you try and do a gunner raid, or you randomly end up in a gunner encounter that's like randomly generated by the game. But we go here and we discover Abernathy Farm for the EXP as well as the reference, because if you run due southeast of Abernathy Farm toward this little telephone, pretty much like a telephone line or power line, you can run into these Radstag does. We switch on over to our pretty much ACOG scoped pipe rifle, although that's just a normal scope on it. You'll see in a minute. We changed the reticle up just to make it a little bit more immersive, but we pretty much pick off this Radstag, which was too dumb to run. And then we're also going to pick this one off, who kind of gets continually stun locked. And we get some free leather and some meat off of that. And we also run into these two ammo boxes, and there's a raider right here who also has a shotgun shell, a stim pack, and some more raider apparel, which we can use for our armor. So that's our fourth piece of armor. So we're already doing pretty good on the armor department. Still haven't found any antibiotics, but we might get some better luck once we run into the wicked shipping fleet. I try to spot this doe out, but I can't quite make him out through the brush, so I decided it's probably a better idea to save the bullets and not run into more enemies. Cutting on over, we're just doing a quick scout to make sure that there's none of the bloat flies around those radioactive bins. They kind of like to congregate around there, but for some reason they're not here this time around. A little odd, but you can go into this house and you can also grab some first aid, some miscellaneous items. I know there's always bottles here, so if you need some extra water, you got that too. There's a bottle of whiskey. There's a bed if you want to save. We're going to skip along that because we should not die in this playthrough. The rest of it is pretty straightforward going along. As I hear the lightning from the radiation storm and take a quick Radex. As we've made it to Wicked Shipping Fleet Lockup, I decided to show you what you can do when the ghouls kind of come out of nowhere. Once you hear the sound of them crawling, just switch to your weapon and see if you can catch them during the animation, because that's just free damage. And the more damage you can do to their legs or something like that while they can't do anything back, the easier it gets. Here, I get a bit cocky and try and see if I can land a headshot on him with a shotgun, get hit for over half my health, and decide, enough's enough, we're gonna go for VATS, and try not to die and have to backtrack all of that looting all over again. So with that out of the way, we kind of casually walk upstairs. I do in this forget to go across to the other building to get the extra bag of money that's sitting on the roof, but that is something you guys can do later on as well. I'm just sitting here trying to grab all of the ammo and crafting materials that I can. I think we may or may not have Scrounger up for the ammo, but I do forget all of the perks I run all of the time. But we are finding a lot of 38 caliber ammunition, which is going to help us out in the early game, because we're going to be sticking with this pipe rifle for a while until they start spawning anything with 45 in it, and then we're going to start running those because it's just going to be more common and abundant. Here we're going to just try and loot this area for more materials and adhesive. There's a blue set of keys that you can grab to gain access to several of the trucks in the wasteland that you wouldn't commonly have access to. And here I run into a glitch, which is easily solved if you're on PC by just alt-tabbing out of the game and then tabbing back into it. But this is kind of evidence and or another excuse as to why you should probably run save mods if you're running survival on Fallout 4 on PC, or even if you have an Xbox. If you can find a save mod, I'd say go for it, because you get stuff like that and you kind of just want to punch a hole in your screen. But we're going to take some healing items here just so we don't get utterly demolished as we're trying to clear the rest of this place out. I do remember on release they used to spawn, I think, 5 ghouls in here, and it was advantageous to turn on that Protectron out in front because it would take out most of them. Here it's not so advantageous, so I'm kind of just walking along and trying to just loot everything around here, because there's no more ghouls in the immediate area that I can think of, so I'm kind of just bouncing around from place to place looking for crafting materials. I know there is a chest over here that you can grab for some extra crafting materials as well. I'm just looking for all of the extra canisters and cans that I can use for steel and aluminum. And then I know there's also another, I was trying to jump over this but I can't. There's another chest over there that you can loot, as well as a ghoul. I think it's a feral ghoul reaver most of the time that you do run across early into the game that you can go and loot. And then there is the toolbox that you can finish up on. If you turn to the left, you can use that key to open this up, and you can get some more materials. And I do find it advantageous to loot every steamer trunk that I come across, mainly because it has pre-war money, and if you stack enough pre-war money, it's pretty much free currency that weighs either nothing or next to nothing. So it's always worth it to take it, and do keep track of where you store it though, because sometimes when you select put all junk into this container, there's a button for it, store all junk. It'll put that in there as well as your gold. So you always want to make sure that you take your gold and your pre-war cash back out. I didn't do it this time because I'm storing everything in Red Rocket, so I can always just go back there and get my stuff back. Here we're gonna take out this ghoul. There is a way, if you're getting that bag of money upstairs, to shoot through the roof to get this guy, or shoot through that window that I'm sitting in front of right now. And we're just gonna finish looting this place and kind of just play a little bit of a holotape for you guys.
Brother here. This whole deal with Eddie is wicked shiesty. I mean, what kind of business partner threatens to kill you if the deal doesn't go his way. We are in way over our heads, man. I can't see a way out of this. No way except shutting down and getting out of Dodge. Give me a chance to talk this out with you face to face. I just want both of us to get out of this.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting, but you can find their trucks all over the Commonwealth, as we hear some contact kind of going on to our north, and we decide to pull out the scoped heavy pipe rifle to see what we can scout out. And what we can determine is there is raiders fighting a bunch of ghouls. So I kind of just start firing into the crowd, and I realized that the raider I thought I was trying to kill was in fact a settler, which kind of threw me off a lot. So I try to put away my weapon to not aggro them, and then nothing happens. So I decide to keep on shooting at everyone since they're not gonna stop being aggro to me. And then I start hearing laser weapons this early, and I start getting even more confused, and this guy flanks me in kind of the fog of war. And I'm getting shot at by the laser as well, you can hear in the background. So I switch over to my pistol to try and finish him off. Get caught by one of the lasers. He goes flying into the distance like Superman over here. I don't even know anymore. I was just trying to survive at this point. Like, everything's happening all at once. I take a quick few seconds to figure out what I want to do by going through my menus, and I pull out the pistol and just start going to town on this lady, and she goes down, and we go to loot. Actually, it's a he. The ghoul goes down. We go to loot the body and get a free laser pistol, which is an outstanding find this early in the game. You usually cannot find laser weapons unless you raid something this early on. So we try to take out both radstags. One of them gets away, and we decide not to go for him because he's probably either long gone or with another group of enemies. Here we find some shotgun rounds, and we also find a few raiders, some fusion cells, and we're just kind of looting everyone at this point. We also find the gunner, which kind of explains the laser pistol. This is a random spawn that does tend to happen, but I guess they had a fight on top of the random spawn, which caused one of them to kind of grab everything and run with it. So here I'm just trying to make sure that I got the right apparel on, but it does get kind of confusing because the inventory for apparel is so cluttered. I've just been picking everything up that I kind of get crossed up between the army helmets and everything. And then we come to this final raider, and we do happen to find a chest piece. So that was a little unexpected. I didn't expect to find the chest piece until later on, but that kind of fight confirmed chest piece. There we go. And we're just gonna skip those dogs over there because I don't need another reason to reload and save. We finish off that radstag that we just luckily ran back into because he was too dumb to run far enough. And then we just go along the beach to return to our home in Red Rocket, where we drop an insulated grip on this laser pistol and kind of do a little bit of upkeep here just so that we have a little bit more inventory space for the next time, as well as having the proper amount of ammunition. And I think we also drop a few of the clothing items that we have because we now have one of the better things that you can put ballistic weave on in the game. I know we're not going to get it for at least I think 15 to 20 more levels, but it's good to have. So I think that's where we're going to start coming to a close. I think this is the main part. This is the good place where we start taking a save and kind of just making sure we're all caught up in the food and resource department, since we're already at our home base as it is. And there's nothing really going to attack us here until I believe level 10, but I'm not 100% sure when super mutants start spawning and trying to take this place over. So here I just try to eat some food really quick before going to bed to avoid getting a disease, and we drink some water so we don't wake up thirsty as well. But that's going to be it for this part in the walkthrough. Join us in next time where we just do a quick run of the Conquered Underground. We get to hear a Deathclaw sleeping. That's about it. Catch you on the flip side. Peace.